Good afternoon. Today we want to talk about how to install a WordPress setup in your local server. So this is our topic for today: how to install WordPress on a local server using WAMP, Windows, Apache, MySQL and PHP. So in order for us to do this, the first step we're going to take is to download the WordPress setup file from the WordPress official site, www.wordpress.org. Then step 2, we're going to extract the setup files, which usually comes in a zip format, to your www root directory. Then step 3, we begin the installation process through the browser. Then step 4, we create a configuration file, and so on and so forth. So before we do that, I'm just going to assume that we have already downloaded the setup file from WordPress site, and I'm just going to start by from step 2, extracting the setup files, and then we continue from there. So right now I'm going to locate my www directory. And how do I go about that? You can easily go down to your notification bar, right click here, and you're going to see the WAMP sign there, the WAMP logo there. Clicking on it, then left clicking on it, then you're going to see the www directory. When you click on it, it's going to open this. So now inside the www directory, I created a folder and I called it Acts of Jesus. Then inside the folder we have the WordPress setup file that I downloaded. So I'm going to extract to WordPress. So it's extracting, and after I'm done with extraction, I'm going to copy all the files there and bring it to the main root directory of the folder I created called Acts of Jesus. When I paste it, I'm going to delete the other WordPress file. Okay. Now the next step is for me to go to my browser and start the installation. So I'm going to open my browser, a new tab, then I'm going to type the localhost, because it's through the localhost that I'll be able to access my www directory. Then my localhost is coming. Okay, here's the localhost. You can see the WAMP server logo and the server configuration, Apache version, the PHP version, loaded extensions, MySQL version, and the PHP admin and other stuff like that. But we're going to look at your project. You're going to see a lot of projects, and among those you're going to see Acts of Jesus, the one we just created right now. So we're going to click on it. Here it comes. It said there doesn't seem to be a WP config. This is where you create the configuration file, because without the configuration file the WordPress installation is not going to work. So we're going to click here to create a configuration file. Welcome to WordPress. Before getting started, we need some information in the database. You will need to know the following items before proceeding: database name, database username, and so on and so on. So we're going to create our database and get this information to use in our WordPress installation. So we do that by opening a new tab, then say localhost /php admin. Select. It's through the PHP admin interface that we create our database, and I create the user, give it a privilege, and attach it to the database and use it as the configuration details to run our setup. Okay, so we're waiting for the PHP admin to load completely. When we're looking at the left hand side, you're going to see a lot of database that has been created for one use or the other. So we're going to go ahead to create our database. We click on database, and we say create new database. We put the name of the database. I'm going to say Acts of Jesus. That's going to be the name of our database. Then we're going to change the collation, and we're going to use UTF-8 General CI, case insensitive, Unicode multi-language. In my other video, I'm going to explain the reason we're using UTF-8 General CI and why you should always endeavor to use that. So we click create database. Database Acts of Jesus has been created. Okay, now we've done that, we scroll down and look for the database Acts of Jesus. It's here. We click on it. It's going to load. You're going to see that the database is empty. There's no table, there's nothing. Then we check privileges. If you see, we have a lot of users here that has privileges to this database, so we can use any one of them, or we can either create a new user to have privilege to that database. So if we're going to do that, we're going to come down here and say add user. When we click on add user, it's going to bring up the form, say username. So we type, for example, Acts of Jesus user. Then the host, we select it to be local, as local host. Then a password, we can say Jesus is Lord. type our password. Jesus is Lord. Then we scroll down and check all for the global privileges to give this user a global privilege to use that database. And we now say add user. You have added a new user. So now we've done that, we've created our database and we've created our user and we know this information. So what we're going to do is to go back to our setup and say let's go. Then in our database name we're going to put the name Acts of Jesus. Then in our username we're going to put Acts of Jesus user. In our password field we say Jesus is Lord, but with a small letter this time around. Then our localhost database is localhost. Our table prefix we can say JL, that's Jesus is Lord. Then we now say submit. Alright, Sparky, you've made it through this part of the installation. WordPress can now communicate with your database if you are ready. Time now to run the install. So now automatically all the information I gave to it, it checked to it and confirmed that there's a database name Acts of Jesus and also is a user. So that's why it was able to come down to the next stage. So we click on run the install. Now it's now going to ask for the title of our website. So we're going to say Acts of Jesus. And then the username we'll put it admin and our password we still make it admin. Then our email we can say Acts of Jesus. You can say info@actsofjesus.com. Then privacy, allow search engine to index the site. Yeah, that's very important for exposure. Then we say install WordPress. It's going to take some time because it's doing a whole lot of work right now, connecting, creating the different database file that is needed in the database. So at the end of the day, if you check the database, you're going to see that it's populated. It's populated with a lot of information. Wow, success! WordPress has been installed. Were you expecting more steps? Sorry to disappoint. We are all done. So we now click to log in to our database. Our username was admin, and our password was admin. So we now say login. Wow, here we are. This is our new database. This is our new dashboard. This is a WordPress dashboard. And we want to access the site. We're going to come up right here and say visit site. I right click and I open it in a new tab. So this is my dashboard. I can do a whole lot of stuff here, and this is the appearance of the site. Somehow it looks awful, but then we were just trying to create a structure, a framework that we can now build upon. Then these are database. We have the post, we have media. Here you can add posts, check all the posts, add categories and tags. Here we have media. You can add new media files, video, pictures, and so on and so forth. You have pages. This is where you create your pages. You have comments, appearance. You change your. This is where you change your themes, your widgets, your menu, your headers, your background, and so on and so on. And then we have plugins. Plugins are like extensions. We have users. We have tools. We have settings. We know all that. In our next video series, we're going to take it to another step, digging it deep on how to make your website more beautiful. So for now, I think we're going to stop there. Thanks.